Hello and welcome to South Asia Today, a show that provides you the glimpses of South Asia. I'm your host Shivangi Mishra. Let's begin with the headlines first. Pakistan's political Royal Rumble underway. Ghode Jatra festival observed in Nepal. And women health workers staged protest against unjust authorities in illegally occupied Gilgit-Baltistan. Let's begin the show. The prolonged political tug-of-war in Pakistan is only adding to the Pakistani people's persistent struggle for survival. Ignoring the urgent need of their troubled people, the political leaders in the country appear to be only focused on mudslinging and trading blows, accusing each other of inaction and ineffectiveness. There does not appear to be any focus on solving the pressing issues of poverty, food and medicine shortages, terrorism and the economic crisis. Let's take a closer look at the rapidly deteriorating situation in Pakistan, which appears to be heading towards anarchy and chaos.
Enjoying a lavish lifestyle while living abroad. The former Prime Minister of Pakistan, Nawaz Sharif, was recently spotted in an expensive Bentley while shopping at a luxury store in London. The elder brother of Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, Nawaz was critically trolled on social media by Pakistanis. At a time when millions of Pakistanis are facing difficulty feeding their families, the Pakistani political elite continue to enjoy a luxurious lifestyle. Their apparent indifference and flippancy to the struggles of their people has not gone unnoticed in Pakistan. The incident added fuel to the ongoing political tussle between the ruling government and the opposition, Imran Khan's party, Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, PTI. Khan, cricketer turned politician, who was ousted as Prime Minister of Pakistan in April of 2022 through a no-confidence motion in the National Assembly, is being accused of misusing his office to sell gifts from foreign dignitaries. Khan has been pushing for snap elections, a demand which has been rejected by his successor, Shehbaz Sharif. In further escalation of political volatility, on March 8th, police fired tear gas shells and used batons on Imran Khan supporters in Lahore, as they planned a rally to kickstart the election campaign. With the country's leaders caught up in political drama, the country is primed for a further descent into instability and crisis.
हमने जो रैली करनी थी वो अब हम नहीं कर रहे, क्योंकि मुझे अफसोस ये है कि ये जो करना चाहते हैं, ये सारा जो एक्शन ले रहे हैं, इसका मकसद क्या है कि किसी तरह ये इलेक्शन से निकलें। सारी कोशिश ये है कि कोई इंतशार फैले।
It is Pakistan's supposed leaders who are the ones causing the country to crumble. While Khan urges his supporters to hit the streets to demand early elections, the government is attempting to have the former Prime Minister expelled from all politics in the country. In this commotion, the general public's basic needs are being forgotten. In debt-ridden Pakistan, the rupee is plummeting and inflation is at decades-high levels. Many political analysts, both inside and outside of Pakistan, believe that the country's state of affairs will not improve until the Pakistani army refrains from meddling in the country's politics.
The condition of Pakistan, if it is seen, the main reason is the Pakistan Army's control over Pakistan. The Pakistani Army exercises control over three important dimensions of Pakistan, that is its economic affairs, foreign affairs and defense. The Chief of Army Staff of the Pakistan Army is the de facto Chief Executive Officer of corporate Pakistan, because anything which is manufactured in Pakistan, from salt to steel, the Pakistani Army has got a stake in it through its foundations.
A country of some 232 million people, Pakistan is on a downward spiral, where no one is ready to accept accountability for the country's deteriorating political and economic situation. The government lacks any concrete plan to bring the country's economy back on track. Political leaders are instead relying on foreign loans. The country has not been able to attract overseas investors due to political and economic uncertainty and a lack of skilled manpower. Pakistan's political and economic situation left the country an easy victim to China's debt-trap diplomacy. Beijing, who is tied to Islamabad through its multi-billion-dollar China-Pakistan economic corridor, remains in a position of power to further exert their will and influence.
Pakistani's domestic woes, the economic crisis, the political crisis is a fertile ground for the China to make its ingress, and China is waiting that as Pakistan slips and slides further, the Chinese domination of Pakistan will increase with each passing day.
Decades of mismanagement and poor political and economic policies have left the country in the sinking position it finds itself in today. Pakistan, however, does not appear to even want to learn from past mistakes and remains eager to continue accepting foreign loans, seemingly pushing the consequences of such actions out of sight and out of mind.
Moving on. Each festival in Nepal pertains to different occasions. While some welcome the seasons of the year, others promote sports in the country. However, all the festivals come with a promise of joy and are a reminder of the country's cultural heritage. Recently, Ghode Jatra festival was observed in Nepal's Lalitpur city. This tradition was then performed every year on Chaitra Krishna Aunsi. Have a look.
Ghode Jatra, also known as the Festival of Horses, was observed in Nepal's ancient city of Lalitpur. Osterman Maharjan became Kaji Sahib, which is the highest post awarded in the royal palace for the second time this year. Maharjan rode a horse and toured the temples with bystanders clapping and cheering him on. A tradition preserved for ages in Lalitpur. It is observed specifically on Ghode Jatra, or the Festival of Horses.
यो आजको यो घोडा जात्रा मल्लकालीनदेखि चलिरहेको घोडा जात्रा आज यो बागमारी र भोला गणेश तीन परिक्रमा गरी अहिले विश्राम भएको छ। ललितपुरको चाहिँ यो एक्लो घोडा जात्रा हो। यो मल्लकालदेखि नै चलिआएको हो। आजको दिनमा विशेष गरी यो घोडा जात्रा मनाइन्छ आज यो बागमारीको।
Kaji Sahib, called Juju in Neva, is a procession that is carried out annually in a bid to get a sense of the people and the situation they are in. This tradition of the king riding on a horse and taking to the street is believed to have started during the Srinivas Malla's reign from 1620 to 1661 in Patan. Earlier, Kathmandu had the tradition of holding the annual horse festival, which is believed to have been started by Pratap Malla from 1624 to 1674. Pratap Malla started the festival to check on the status of his subjects. King Srinivas Malla of Patan adopted the tradition in Patan as well to stop the locals from going to Kathmandu to see the procession. Walku Chiba has preserved and continued this festival, which has been popular since the Malla regime from 13th to 18th centuries. Members of the Guthi take turns riding the horse and touring the city annually on Ghode Jatra, keeping this ancient tradition alive. Covering a distance of about 1 kilometer, the horse bearer or the Kaji Sahib is congratulated and regarded by the members of the society. The festivity spans an hour with horses jogging from one temple to another. The Kaji Sahib chews on a betel leaf, a ritual that formally marks the conclusion of the procession.
परिवर्तन त केही भएको छैन हैन यहाँ त काठमाडौँ भन्दा अलि फरक किसिमले अलि घोडा या सर्वसाधारणले चढेर यात्रा गर्ने हो काठमाडौँमा जस्तो आर्मीहरुले ठुलो पदले चढाउने हैन त्यो सर्वसाधारणले चढाउने हो यो यात्रा
Nepal has a special status and place for worshipping animals and birds, This festival of worshipping horses, called Ghode Jatra, is observed on the new moon of Chaitra Shukla Paksha of the Eastern lunar calendar. According to the Gregorian calendar, it usually falls in mid-March or early April.
The draconian authorities of Pakistan have made the lives of people a living hell in Gilgit-Baltistan. Hitting a new low recently, the corrupt regime forced women health workers of Gilgit-Baltistan to take to the streets as they are not able to secure jobs in healthcare services, even after passing all the required exams and other appointment formalities. Take a look.
Scores of women health workers staged demonstration in the illegally occupied region of Gilgit-Baltistan against what they called discrepancies and discrimination in the healthcare recruitment process. The demonstrating women accused the chief minister of the region of malpractice and said it was he who had obstructed their appointments arbitrarily at the 11th hour. Earlier, these women were shortlisted for the job, but they were asked to wait under the pretext of due verification processes and other standard protocols. Nearly 4 months have passed since then, and their fortunes have taken a turn for the worse, for they feel they are just a bunch of vagrants and not much that people will look up to for inspiration.
हमने बाकायदा टेस्ट दिया, इंटरव्यू हो गया, 2 दिसंबर को हमारा जो है रिज़ल्ट आ गया। हम बहुत खुश है, सब ख़वातीन में के घरानों में जो है खुशियाँ आ गई कि एक हमारी उम्मीद नज़र आ गई कि हमारी नौकरी हो गई। उसी रात सीएम साहब ने एक नोटिफिकेशन जारी कर दिया कि इनकी जॉइनिंग्स रोक दें, एक कमेटी तश्कील देगी, वो वेरीफाई करेगी। हमने मान लिया चलो ठीक है, 600 पोजीशंस हैं, कुछ गड़बड़ भी हुआ होगा। उसके बाद हमने बार-बार रब्ता करने की कोशिश की, हमें नज़रअंदाज किया गया।
The women have also alleged that the chief minister of the region, Khalid Khurshid Khan, wants to appoint his own relatives and acquaintances by denying the meritorious women their jobs. These women had carried out a demonstration in the chilly winter months of January too, but they had failed to gather enough traction. Despite their repeated cries and persistent pleas, the cold hearts in power have not bothered to show any sympathy for the plight of these poor women health workers.
एक महीने में कौन सा वेरिफिकेशन होता है? इसको सीएम साहब ने एक मसला कश्मीर बना रखा है। हम बिल्कुल नहीं मानते हैं इस वेरिफिकेशन को, हम मुस्तरद करते हैं। अगर फिर भी उन्होंने वेरिफिकेशन करनी है तो हम अपने डॉक्यूमेंट्स अपने साथ लेके आएँ, यहाँ रोड पे आके हमसे वेरिफिकेशन ले लें। हम यहाँ से आज अपनी जॉइनिंग लेटर निकलवा के ही हम यहाँ से अपना धरना मंसूख करेंगे।
These women say they are determined and will continue to hold protests until they get justice. They want their appointment letters to be issued immediately. Until then, the brave women of Gilgit-Baltistan continue to fight against all odds.
Now we take a look at some happenings in Asia in a segment called Asia Watch.
Bilal had planned to do all her shopping at once when she left for Baghdad's Sharjah market a few days ahead of the fasting month of Ramadan. One of the market sellers, Sajad, stood behind his counter with nuts and spices on display and said his shop was usually much busier ahead of Ramadan. According to economic consultant Ali Jabbar, the high price of foodstuff is partly due to an increase of the dinar's value and the discrepancy between the official and the free market exchange rate of the dinar to the US dollar. Following the introduction of anti-smuggling measures by the New York Federal Reserve in the form of tighter controls on international dollar transactions by private commercial Iraqi banks in November 2022, shortages of dollars led to an increase in the price of consumer goods, while Iraq's currency took a beating. Amphibious assault ship USS Makin Island arrived at a naval base in Busan to join large-scale Sangyong amphibious landing exercises with South Korean troops. The US and South Korean navies and Marine Corps kicked off their first large-scale Sangyong amphibious landing exercises in 5 years on Monday for a 2-week run until April 3. The two countries also began 11 days of joint drills dubbed Freedom Shield 23 on March 13, held on a scale not seen since 2017 to counter the North's growing threats, along with air and sea drills involving American B-1B bombers. In recent weeks, North Korea has been ramping up its military tests, firing an intercontinental ballistic missile last week and conducting a nuclear counterattack simulation against the US and South Korea over the weekend. Tokyo locals and foreign tourists gathered in Ueno Park to enjoy cherry blossoms in full bloom as the city lifted its ban on gatherings in the park this year for the first time since the COVID-19 pandemic. Many visitors to Ueno Park, one of Japan's most popular cherry blossoms viewing spots, were seen having picnics under trees and taking pictures. Some said they also came to the park to celebrate the victory after Japan's baseball team defeated Team USA to win the World Baseball Classic. Warm weather ushered in the full bloom 9 days sooner than usual in the capital and one of the earliest in recorded history, national broadcaster NHK said on Wednesday, citing the weather agency. Motorbikes were burned alongside piles of rubbish in Paris during a 6th consecutive night of protest over a controversial pensions reform bill. Garbage bins were set ablaze in the Place de la République in central Paris and protesters set off fireworks. Fire engines arrived to put out the blaze and the police charged and set off tear gas to disperse demonstrators. Nearby the Place de la Bastille, streets were covered in rubbish that was set alight, while some motorbikes and e-bikes were engulfed in flame. French President Emmanuel Macron is looking to regain the initiative with new reforms in the coming weeks after his government barely survived a no-confidence motion over the unpopular pensions legislation. Some in Macron's own camp have warned him against continuing business as usual amid violent protests and rolling strikes that represent the most serious challenge to the centrist president's authority since the Yellow Vest revolt 4 years ago. Polls show a wide majority of French are opposed to the pension reform, as well as the government's decision to push the bill through parliament without a vote.
Breaking stereotypes regarding menstruation and educating women on the topic is essential in the rural areas. While individuals have taken initiatives for contributing to the cause, authorities have also started coming up with ways to create awareness regarding the issue. Recently, NABARD aided a women's self-help group in manufacturing and distributing sanitary napkins in Kokarnag area of Anantnag. Take a look.
Jammu and Kashmir authorities are taking steps in order to break the age-old taboo and stigma associated with menstruation and menstrual hygiene, even in the rural pockets of the Union Territory. In a first-of-its-kind initiative, NABARD, or the National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development, is aiding a women's self-help group in manufacturing and distributing sanitary napkins in Naropura village of Kokarnag in the Anantnag district. This unit is a part of the My Pad, My Right initiative launched by the NAB Foundation, a not-for-profit subsidiary of NABARD.
मेरे साथ 10 लड़कियां काम करती हैं और इसका नाम है माय पैड माय राइट। ये हमें नाबार्ड ने दिया है। हम पहले सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप चला रहे थे, तो हम 10 लड़कियां थी। तो इससे पहले हमारा बुटीक चल रहा था, तो वो भी हम चला रहे हैं, उसमें भी 5-6 लड़कियां काम कर रही हैं। तो फिर मैंने सोचा कि मतलब अगर हम गांव में और एक यूनिट खोले, कुछ भी पहले ये नहीं सोचा था कि सेंट्री पैड्स ही, मगर कुछ भी खोले जिससे लड़कियों को मतलब रोज़गार भी मिले और पढ़ाई भी कर सके, क्योंकि यहाँ बहुत बेरोज़गारी है। तो फिर मैंने सोचा कि मतलब क्या करूँ मैं ऐसा कि जिससे हमें फ़ायदा मिले। तो हमें ये सोचा कि मतलब मैं बहुत पढ़ी लिखी हूँ, मैं एमफिल हूँ, तो मैंने सोचा कि ये मैं शुरू कर ही दूँ, क्योंकि मैं नेट पे देख रही थी कि ऐसा है वैसा है, तो मैंने सोचा कि हम अब ये सेंटर पैड्स बनाएंगे।
This self-help group, Al-Khairiya, has been working relentlessly for creating awareness regarding menstrual hygiene and entrepreneurship among women. Under the project, free machines for making and assembling sanitary napkins have been provided to the group. This unit has the capacity of producing 600 to 800 sanitary napkins per day, which will ensure adequate stock of sanitary pads is available for distribution in nearby villages. These women are engaged in manufacturing sanitary napkins in their unit, which are distributed further among women.
ऐसे बहुत सारी लड़कियां हैं जो बेरोजगार बैठी है घर में, तो उनको चाहिए कि वो ऐसे प्रोजेक्ट्स में काम करे, अपना पार्ट टाइम जॉब करे, ताकि वो अपनी तालीम को भी आगे बढ़ा सके। जैसे कि मैंने 12th किया है और मैं आगे अपनी तालीम को किस तरह से अब चला रही हूँ। लाइक घर वालों पे बोझ बनता है, कभी कभी अपने बच्चों को पढ़ाना, फाइनेंशियली प्रॉब्लम होती है, तो पार्ट टाइम जॉब करके हम क्या कर सकते हैं कि हम अपने पढ़ाई को खुद आगे बढ़ा सकती है। और अगर देखा जाए जो बाकी रूरल एरियाज भी है, उनमें भी अगर ऐसे ऐसे प्रोजेक्ट्स लिए जाए, तो जो घर में बैठी हुई लड़कियां होती है उनसे क्या होगा कि मतलब उनको रोजगार मिलेगा, और रोजगार मिलने से क्या होगा कि वो अपने मतलब हर किसी काम को, अपनी हर किसी ज़रूरत को पूरा कर सकती है। और अगर ऐसा मतलब प्रोजेक्ट उनको भी मिले पैड्स का, तो उससे क्या होगा कि उनको पता चलेगा ये कितना हाइजीनिक है, कितना अच्छा है।
The launch event of the unit was attended by a large number of members of the self-help group, panchayat representatives, besides officers from district administration, NABARD, health department, banks and others. Authorities plan to establish that more production units across various districts in Jammu and Kashmir for contributing to the cause. Locals lauded the initiative as it is not only a method to promote sanitation and menstrual hygiene, but also a great way to provide a source of part-time income for girls in college or housewives.
ये जो मेंस्ट्रुअल हाइजीन के इश्यूज़ हैं, अभी देखें आप जो स्कूल गोइंग गर्ल्स हैं या इवन जो हमारी माएँ बहनें घरों में रहती हैं, तो ये काफ़ी इशू रहता है, इनहिबिशन रहता है। और जिस तरह से आज यहाँ पे पार्टिसिपेशन हुआ, मुझे लगता है इससे अच्छा एम्पावरमेंट तो कुछ हो नहीं सकता कि वो एक मेंस्ट्रुअल हाइजीन, मेंस्ट्रुएशन के बारे में बात भी हो रही है और उसको कैसे हाइजीन रखा जाता है उस पे भी बात हुई, और साथ साथ में एक प्रोडक्ट जो उसमें है सैनिटरी पैड, वो खुद प्रोड्यूस कर रही हैं, अपने मेंबर्स को भी दे रही हैं और मार्केट को भी दे रही हैं। तो दिस इज़ बेस्ट फॉर्म ऑफ एम्पावरमेंट।
अनंतनाग एक पहला डिस्ट्रिक्ट है कश्मीर डिवीज़न में जिसको हमने सेलेक्ट किया है एक पायलट के रूप में। तो मुझे इससे ये लगता है कि मेंस्ट्रुअल हाइजीन की समस्या तो हमारी दूर होगी, साथ में जो वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट का एक कॉज है वो भी इसमें एड्रेस होगा, और कुछ हमारी जो SHG की माताएं बहनें हैं उनको इसमें थोड़ा बहुत एम्प्लॉयमेंट भी मिलेगा।
There is a need to spread awareness in rural women about menstrual hygiene, and initiatives like these will play a vital role in not only educating them about hygiene but also provide them with an alternative source of income.
It's time for me to wrap up today's episode. We'll be back next week at the same time. This is Shivangi Mishra signing off on the behalf of the entire production team of South Asia Today. Goodbye and take care.